Hello there everyone, today's video is all about pension mistakes on payroll software. So I'm speaking specifically now to people who are employers who have members of staff working for them, and those members of staff are subject to the auto-enrolment rules when it comes to pensions. So you as the employer have to put in a percentage of their salary as a pension contribution. Now, you as the employer contribute, and they as the employee also contribute. So there's amounts in their pension pot from both themselves and from you as the employer. Now, what's been happening is HMRC have been sending out warning letters to thousands of employers to say, look, we think you've got your calculations wrong, or you've done it the wrong way round. And it's not so much that the payroll software that they're using is wrong, it's just that the people are entering it in the wrong place, so it's churning out the wrong result. What am I talking about? Well, let's have a look. So, different ways to deduct pensions in terms of how the tax relief works. So the first one is called a net pay arrangement, net pay. And it basically means that you as the employee, the contribution that you make, it comes off your gross salary before tax is applied, and then you end up with your net pay. So you've got your gross salary, your contributions for your auto-enrolment pensions come off the salary, and then tax is applied, PAYE, to that amount. So that's the first one, net pay. The second one is called relief at source, and that basically works as follows, that the deduction happens after your tax has been deducted. So from your net pay, you then knock off contributions to the pension provider, which get paid across, and then the government top up the pension fund for 20%. And if you're a higher rate taxpayer, you then claim another 20% back on your tax return. So two completely different ways of operating pension contributions, deductions, and particularly how the tax relief works. Now, what's been happening is that apparently across the UK, people who are running payrolls have been entering the wrong one, basically, and telling the payroll software that this has been happening instead of this. So it's net pay instead of relief at source, and vice versa. And of course, as I've just explained, the tax relief mechanism is completely different. So on this one, it's all in one go, but on this one, it's after you tax, then you claim some more back, and it's completely different. So you get it wrong, and it can result in, basically what it has resulted in is that too little PAYE has been deducted from thousands of employees across the UK, and HMRC is obviously concerned about that. So in terms of which one should you do, regardless of have you put it in the right box, basically the payroll provider, whoever you're using, will say it should be that or that. So they will normally, for auto-enrolment, the vast majority is under this net pay arrangement, so that the contributions come off the gross salary, then PAYE is applied to that. But it could be the other way around. But it's all what the pension provider says. You must do it one of these two ways. And then when you do it, when you've been given that instruction, make sure that you're pressing the right box on the payroll software, because the payroll software is perfectly fine. There's no gremlins that we're aware of in payroll softwares getting it wrong. It's the input of the data. What's the old adage? Garbage in equals garbage out. If you put it in the wrong place to begin with, the payroll software will automatically give you the wrong result. So what I think is confusing, though, is the labeling of these two schemes. And I've always thought this. I've thought this for years. And so it doesn't surprise me that people are putting it in the wrong box, because if I didn't know, if I wasn't a tax advisor and I just came to look at the pensions world, and you described to me the workings of these two schemes, in my mind, I would say, well, that sounds like a kind of relief at source. You're getting tax relief at the point of source before you even get your take-home money. And this one, where you have to fund it from your net pay, I would call that a net pay arrangement. So if I didn't know any better, what I was suggesting to a layperson, I would label this relief at source in terms of just by the sounding of how it works, and I'd label this a net pay arrangement, again, via the sound of how the thing works. But it's not, it's the other way around. So I think it's badly labelled, and I've thought this for years. I thought they've got the naming of these things the wrong way around, but that's how it is. So it comes as no surprise to me that people have been entering it in the wrong box on the payroll software. Now, HMRC are not only concerned with this, putting in the wrong one, but also with this. And this is salary sacrifice, becoming more and more popular, where employers say to their members of staff, they say, look, give up some of your salary, and in exchange for doing that, we will put in more into your pension, i.e. the employer will put more into the pension. So these two, remember, it's the employee's contributions. So on this third thing here, it's the employer putting money in. Now, what's been happening is that apparently thousands of businesses throughout the UK, when they're entering into the payroll software, this employer contribution in lieu of the salary sacrifice has been labelled as an employee contribution. So again, too little pay as you earn has been deducted over here, because that employer contribution should go straight from employer to the employee's pension scheme without getting anywhere near their pay slip. But they're getting a double benefit. They're getting the national insurance savings that come with having this in the first place, and they're getting the tax relief as if it was an employee contribution when it's not, it's an employer contribution. So, for goodness sake, if you are an employer, make sure you get this right, because if you get investigated for the PAYE, this could potentially run into a lot of money that you have to pay to correct. Because in theory, HMRC could come after the employee to recoup the pay as you earn, but what about businesses that are typically quite transient, where staff come and go? How are you going to recover that from a staff member who's long gone and you get a PAYE visit several years after the event? So for goodness sake, do yourself a favour. If you're an employer, just make sure whoever's doing your payroll that they know which boxes to enter the data into the software. Sounds straightforward, but obviously it's not. It's causing a problem, but it's relatively straightforward to fix. It's just tick that box instead of that. But you need to give your payroll operators training on how to complete and how to input on the software, because it can create all sorts of problems, as I've just demonstrated. So just an overview there on some of the issues facing employers and pension deductions and the tax relief thereon that HMRC is coming after employers, because these problems, these errors apparently are rife. So there you go. So if you like this video, please do subscribe, and as always, I'll see you soon.